Coming up on Torrance Today, the homeless count took place in our city last night, and volunteers were out in full force doing their part. Then, city outreach efforts fill a vacancy at the temporary housing village after a resident transitions to permanent housing. And the Torrance Art Museum unveils a new exhibit celebrating our 50-year partnership with Kashiwa, Japan. All this and more coming up right now on Torrance Today. Welcome to Torrance Today. I'm Kirk Lyons. It's 4 p.m. on Thursday, January 26th. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for joining us. Here is our first story. The annual Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count took place last night, bringing together volunteers at the Ken Miller Recreation Center.
The significance of the homeless count isn't just for Torrance, it's for an entire region. And what it does is it helps us understand what homelessness actually looks like in each of our communities. They're the people who go out there, drive the vehicles, they are the people who navigate the streets, and they are the people who actually count the individuals or the number of vehicles that are associated with people experiencing homelessness.
There just seems to be, a lot of fear and a stigma, that seems to be wrapped around being homeless. And the truth of it is that it just could be, the person standing right next to you in line to get a sandwich. I hope that we can help get the resources that they need to them, whether it's mental health services or addiction services or, helping with jobs or temporary housing. We need to do something instead of just taking pictures and posting them on Facebook.
Torrance has been a deployment site for years and partners with the LA Homeless Services Authority, local municipalities, law enforcement, and community members. The count takes place over a total of 3 days and 3 nights throughout LA County, ending tomorrow. City officials say everyone can be a part of the solution. They can donate toiletries and school supplies to the Social Services Commission or volunteer for the upcoming homeless count next year. One of the ways our city has been helping those experiencing homelessness has been through 3290 Temporary Housing Village, which opened its doors last July, providing safe housing and resources for up to 40 residents at a time. As of last month, 4 people moved into permanent housing and 13 others were in the process of doing the same. And during last night's homeless count, we learned that one more 3290 resident attained permanent housing, opening up a new space for someone else in need.
Our dedicated outreach worker had been visiting this client, and he had declined services a couple of times. But in homeless services, it takes a few times to connect with the person and establish that relationship. And it wasn't until a few days ago that our dedicated outreach worker visited the person again and offered outreach services to that person, and he finally accepted services. It was at that time that she gathered his belongings and took him to our temporary tiny homes, temporary housing village here at 3290, and he was onboarded into our temporary housing program.
Jen encourages community members who see someone experiencing homelessness and want to help to email the city. They can contact Valerie Hernandez at vhernandez@torranceca.gov or Zolma Gent at zgent@torranceca.gov. We also received some great news this week. Congressman Ted Lieu announced that he secured $1 million for 3290, which is part of a total of $5 million the congressman secured to address various issues across the South Bay. Speaking of Congressman Lieu, he's getting ready to meet his South Bay constituents this weekend for the 8th annual Bipartisan and Multi-District Service Academy Day. Academy officials from various military branches will educate students and their parents about various career paths. The event takes place on Saturday, January 28th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Da Vinci Schools in El Segundo. Also taking place this Saturday is a brand new exhibit at the Torrance Art Museum, celebrating a big anniversary for the city.
Bridging the Pacific is a very special exhibit. We're doing it in celebration Torrance's sister city agreement with Kashiwa. The fact that it's the 50th is really exciting. So for those of the viewers that don't know about the sister cities, every year they have students go to Japan, and then some students come to LA for a month. And so since it's been 50 years, it's the second generation. So the children of the original exchanges are now doing the exchanges themselves. And so this is really beautiful to see how generationally this cultural exchange is affecting and influencing and improving the city.
The opening reception takes place from 6 to 9 p.m. The free event is open to the public, and if you can't make it out this weekend, the exhibit runs through Saturday, March 4th. Another event takes place this Saturday, an open house at the Salvation Army of Torrance.
When you hear the Salvation Army, you usually think of a bell ringer outside of a grocery store at Christmas time or the thrift store, but we really want people to know that there's so much more to the Salvation Army and what we do for the community. During COVID, it's been hard because we haven't been able to have the community together face to face that we love to have and we think is really important.
Visitors can tour the facility, check out its state-of-the-art recording studio, and learn about Crescendo Music and Dance, which offers affordable music lessons. Visitors will be also treated to live performances, free food, and an opportunity to win prizes. The event takes place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 4223 Emerald Street. They ask those who are able to bring non-perishable food donations. The LA Metro wants to continue the conversation on its upcoming C or Green Line. It plans to extend the line from the Marine Station in Redondo Beach to the Mary Kay Giordano Regional Transit Center, which is still under construction. A number of meetings will take place throughout the South Bay next month. Residents can log on to a Zoom meeting on Thursday, February 16th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. They can also attend a public hearing on Tuesday, February 21st at the Toyota Meeting Hall at 3330 Civic Center Drive from 5 to 8 p.m. And as we head into the weekend, be sure to catch the latest episodes of Weekends in Torrance. On Friday, Seaside Community Church volunteers make one-of-a-kind dresses for little girls in Africa. Then, Happy Hats for Kids teams up with Bright Event Rentals to make fun hats to cheer up children at our local hospitals. Then on Sunday, learn about how touchless pedestrian push buttons are helping to keep our community safe. They were first installed as a pilot program at the intersection of Madrona Avenue and Torrance Boulevard, and since then, 2 new sets were added throughout our city. One at Crenshaw and Del Amo Boulevards last month, and another just last week at the intersection of Hawthorne Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. Our Public Works Department expects to install even more touchless buttons in the coming year, along a stretch of Anza Avenue from Del Amo to Sepulveda Boulevards. You can watch these stories and much more on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday right here on Torrance City Cable. And still ahead, we give you a sneak peek of our newest documentary video featuring former Mayor Patrick J. Fury when we come back in 60 seconds.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
At the end of every episode of Torrance Today, we want to share a positive story that fits the theme for the day. On this Thankful Thursday, we pay tribute to our former mayor, Patrick J. Fury, through City Cable's newest documentary. He served our city as mayor for 8 years and took on various roles before then, touching the lives of so many throughout our community.
When California was reapportioned after the 2010 census and much of Torrance was added to my district, then Councilman Fury and his wife Terry were the first Torrance residents to invite me into their home.
I know Pat and Terry, they always host a Christmas party or a holiday party at their home every year. So I've been to their home many times, just a warm, cozy home where they invite a lot of folks. What really sets them apart is how dedicated they've been to the Torrance community for decades.
Mayor Fury and I worked together the whole time that I've been on City Council. And he's a person that has worked very hard for the city. He has represented the city very well.
We sat together in council all 5 years, right next to each other. We'd pass notes to each other. Mayor Fury loved the City of Torrance. Mayor Fury put in more hours for the City of Torrance. I swear that man probably works 70 hours a week for the City of Torrance.
There was never a time in his tenure that I would call him and say, Mayor, we're having a grand opening, or Mayor, can you visit this business with us, or can you speak to this group of students? And he'd always just say yes at a drop of the hat without any hesitation at all.
We came from that generation that our parents gave a lot for us to be where we're at, so they paid it forward. Kind of instilled in us, I guess, a spirit and a work ethic for us to pay it forward as well. He truly cared about the community, and he wanted to leave it a little better off.
You can watch the full story. It premieres tomorrow on Weekends in Torrance. Well, that's our show for today. Let us know if you have a positive story to tell by emailing us at torrancetoday@torranceca.gov. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here on Monday with more news from and for our Torrance community. Have a great weekend.